about drawing and sketching and art in general. But you can have a lot of fun with that. Maybe you want to tell a story with the fact that one side of Goofy's face is a little bigger than the other. Maybe Goofy got stung by a bee, and that's why one side of his face is a little bigger, right? If you commit to that, you tell that story whenever you tell or whenever you show people your sketch, they're never going to know that's exactly how you meant to draw, right? That's totally what you meant to do. You meant to make one side a little bigger than the other. That's the cool thing about art and about sketching. You can really tell any story that you want with your drawing. Now, once we've got this lower half or this upper jawline really for Goofy added in here, we gotta start giving a bit more detail to the very bottom of his face, his mouth, and his chin. We will start with those iconic buck teeth that Goofy has, one of those very lovable features of him. Now, Goofy, he's kind of the OG when it comes to big buck teeth and a very fun, silly personality. Having these big teeth is something that you'll very, very often see associated with really silly characters, with really fun characters. Can you guys think of any other Disney characters who are really silly and have big teeth? Shout them out. What do you think? Mayor, absolutely. I heard Olaf too. Who else? Chippendale. Yeah. How about a little fishy who forgets a lot of stuff? Dory too. Yeah, absolutely. You can see it sometimes with two teeth, or like her, she just has like one big buck teeth in the front, one big buck tooth in the front. But this truly, you can see all throughout Disney and non-Disney characters as well that big teeth usually mean a funny character. And Goofy, he is the king of funny, so we're giving him these two big teeth right in front. They kind of look like jumbo marshmallows. That's how I like to think of them as I build them into these really rounded square shapes, one on either side of our center guideline. Goofy also has a fairly large chin. This is where he's going to get a lot of the height in our sketch from as well, the height of the head shape. Goofy has what we do call a lantern chin or a lantern jaw. This is another character design another character design piece that you will see a lot with animated characters. And this one usually means a confident character. Now you may be thinking to yourself, okay, Goofy's not really like the first person that comes to mind when you think about really confident Disney characters. But to that, I would say, Goofy has his own series of how-to cartoons, right? We've shown you how to do all this crazy stuff that he himself has no business doing, okay? What is more confident than that? You're teaching a whole series about things that you have no idea how to do. He is like the king of fake it till you make it, right? So he's got a lot of confidence to be able to do that. So we're building in that nice strong jawline, that big lantern chin for him. I'm using this big letter U shape, basically just connecting one tooth to the other. And we'll finish off the lower half of Goofy's face here by giving him this lower lip, just this half letter U right between his teeth. Now, the most expressive and largest feature of Goofy's face by far is his eyes. He's got these incredibly large eyes.
He does.
We're going to start these eyes right on the inside of the cheeks by pulling up a big letter C. I'm bringing this up towards the top of the circle here. And then I want to start to bend these in towards that center guideline. So altogether, it's almost going to look like we're creating this big curvy letter M shape for the eyes. And remember that thing that we said about Goofy being the king of silly? Well, usually when you see a really silly character, they're going to have eyes that are really close together too, to also show us that they're very silly. And Goofy's eyes sit so close together, in fact, that he's technically a cyclops. His eyes sit so close to one another that they just become one shape. They merge into this big letter M. Now, if you're drawing a character like, say, Pluto, for example, Pluto and Goofy do share a lot of design similarities since they are both dogs. They're just different breeds of dogs, right? They have different talents. One drives cars, the other chases cars, one wears gloves, the other one doesn't. But one of the biggest changes about these two characters, the differences in their design, is that if we were drawing Pluto right now, we would give his eyes two separate shapes. We'd make them two separate ovals by darkening in that center guideline to give him a little bit more of that focused look. Whereas Goofy, I don't think he's ever been focused for like one single moment in his life. So we're gonna leave him with those eyes always merging into one shape. I'm building in these eyebrows for Goofy here as well to help him be a little bit more expressive. Some little candy canes or those upside down letter J's that float right above his eyes. I'm really just copying the same shape of the eyes for his eyebrows. And we can even close off the sides and the top of Goofy's head by picking out our favorite lines from our original circle. We can close off that space between the eyebrows, the cheeks, as well as that little space between the brows there on top of his head. Now Goofy is still looking like he's seen some things. He's looking a little bit freaked out, a little bit possessed in our sketch. So let's change that. You can add anything that you want inside his eyes. Maybe you want to draw some hearts in his eyes, some stars in his eyes. One of the cool things about having this much space to work with in Goofy's eyes is that the animators kind of used it as like a television screen into Goofy's brain. So you could draw anything that Goofy is thinking about. Maybe he's thinking of like a full roast dinner. You could draw that on the inside of his eyes, right? Maybe he just got bonked on the head by something and he sees all these little birdies flying around inside his eyes. I'm going to have his pupils be kind of two different sizes here, just to give him that extra silly look. Maybe he did get bonked on the head. He's sort of readjusting. You can tell that story. But right now we have Goofy the Seal on our paper. We got to give this guy some ears. He's got those nice long floppy ears. We're going to start with some letter C curves on the sides of his head, just right above his cheeks. This is that muscle that really helps to attach his ears onto his head. And then we'll use what looks like some long, stretched out teardrop shapes, or these baseball bat shapes, you can think of them as too, to build in the shape of Goofy's ears. They're really, really thin right up next to his eyes. And as they drop down, they get a little bit wider and nice and round at the bottom. So I'll draw those ears. I'm just having them kind of hanging down by the sides of his face. But maybe you want to switch it up. Maybe you want to draw Goofy in your portrait with his ears flying up in the air.
You see a bird, okay? A car crashed into
Maybe you
him.
want to have him with his ears kind of flowing to the sides of his head, right? Like maybe he's in his very own L'Oreal commercial. Or he's sticking his head out the car window. After all, he is a dog at the end of the day. I'll go back in here and lock in these ears. And any really extra details that you want to add onto Goofy from here will be considered extra credit. I know a lot of people always say, well, where's his hat, right? He tends to wear that little green hat most of the time. And you're more than welcome to add that hat in for him, but I like to leave it open to you because Goofy, when you think about it, he is a man of many different hats. He is a big hobbyist.
He doesn't have
fisherman,
normal
so maybe
ears.
you want to draw him with a little fisherman's cap on his head. Goofy, as we mentioned at the very beginning, is also a dad. You guys remember what his son's name is? Max Goof, right? Maximilian Goof. So maybe you want to give him a #1 dad hat on top of his head. Maybe you want to give him a college grad cap. Goofy is a college graduate. That's right. He's an educated man. Even Mickey Mouse can't say that. I like to give Goofy a full head of hair on top of his head with 3 little flicks of my pencil. I'm even going to give him a few little whiskers. Now, Goofy definitely has sort of changed his look a little bit as he's progressed throughout the years. He's gone through a lot of different changes. He went through a lot of name changes. Like we said, he was originally called Dippy Dog at the very start. He even went through some different name changes where he was called Dippy the Goof. At one point he was called Goofy the Geese. At one point he was just called George. That's it. The whole name was George. They were trying to do this whole, like, maybe he's half dog, half human thing. I don't know. Weird time for Goofy. But he eventually did make his way to this dog that we know and love today. I do want to show you really, really quickly before we finish up what that original look for Goofy was, because I think he got to look really cute, really silly. So here he is. This is the original Dippy Dog. Yeah, all the way back in 1932. He's basically just a scruffy looking Goofy. But there he is. The very last mark any artist absolutely needs on their drawing, though, is your signature. So make sure you find somewhere
I don't have a
sign your
signature.
drawings, nice and proud. You've all just completed your own sketches of Goofy. All right. Now, in the end, I have a very important question for you all. Did you have fun?
Yeah.
love to
Do
see
I
all
make
these
up
new
my
skates. Now, so
signature?
on the count three, we have a heart shift.
Do I make up a
Show
signature?
off, nice and proud. Ready?
No más
1, 2,
con eso,
3, go, day!
Let me put my name in
Fabulous, we're down
cursive.
here in the first. Look at this, my goodness, Picasso.
Oh
I
my
like
gosh,
it.
look at
Fabulous,
that
we're
camera.
going. You're flying up in the air with a line. We're really clean over here. Nice use of space to build as well. Look at that extra credit we started adding into it. This little part comments, I love that. Fabulous in the back. There's very soft shading up here. Very silly goofy. I like it. Give yourself a big round of applause, everybody. Nice work. I have to say these all came out doggone good. Those drawings are for you to keep and take home with you. Thank you for joining us, everyone. Get fun, and class is dismissed.
Big round of applause for your artist Sam, everyone. Thank you so much, Sam. All right, your exit doors are now open. They're the same doors you entered through. Please do us a humongous favor before you go and prop up your boards just as you found them. Back up against the seat with the pencil in the spring. That does us a great deal of help. Also, be sure to collect all of your personal belongings, everything that you came in here with. Includes any hats, glasses, bags, backpacks, phones, wallets, water bottles, husbands, wives, children, parents, and those drawings, those souvenirs for you to keep